Y'all sound so tired. The eve of the holiday. Everybody is. Huh?
Good evening.
Good evening. I should put it down to the eve of the holiday, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see how we could make your pre-holiday weekend better. Let's talk about wills. So let me just start by asking you all, what is a will? Just off the top of your head. I know some of you may have a will already, so what is a will?
I would say a will is a legal document that states how you would like your assets to be shared upon your death.
Okay, all right. Now let's hold that word legal because there are different types of wills. And you can actually sit down and write one in your own handwriting. Because really all you're just doing is disposing of your assets. So you're just writing it out. Someone else is going to say, give me a definition. That was Danica.
No, actually, that's the same thing I was going to say, a legal document that, when I say legal, well, I know it's a written document. Something that's written that says how your assets are to be distributed upon your demise. So basically just the same thing she said.
Yeah, okay. So we know that a will is made while you're living and you can change it at any time.
Yes.
Right, so it is revocable. And what it actually is it gives you the intention of the testator, that's the male, or the testatrix. That's what you call a person when they die and they wrote a will. So you said that this is what their intention was. So a will has to be in a prescribed form, and it deals with the matters that you wish to take into effect after your death. So remember, every time you hear like the elderly people will always say they never like to tell anyone as to what they have disposed of in their will, because people believe at the time that they are entitled to it. The will does not take effect until after death. So that means that you can change it at any time. So there are different types of will. One, there is a joint will. And a joint will is where there's just a single document and it's executed by two persons, normally a husband and wife. And it has effect in relation to them upon their death, how they wish for their assets to be distributed. A mutual will is two or more wills, but they're mutually binding. Again, it could be husband and wife. So that means that after the death of the first survivor, then the other one is constrained as to how they can dispose of their property. And normally this happens when they have children and one of both spouses agree that they want the assets to go to the children. And so they actually write out mutual wills. A statutory will is a will that is created by legislation. A privilege will is a will that takes effect from able seamen who are in active duty. A conditional will, sometimes called a contingent will, that is normally used when a person would like for a will to become effective only if an event occurs. And if that event does not occur, then the will is not effective. The holograph will is one that is handwritten. An international will is a will where the assets and the beneficiaries are in different jurisdictions. And of course, a codicil is an addendum to the will. And an addendum means that you want to explain something in the will, or you want to modify something in the will, or you want to revoke a part of the will. So those are the different types of wills. Now you can also have a contract to make a will or to make certain dispositions in a will. And to be a valid contract, it must have the essentials of a contract, which means that it must have offer and acceptance and consideration. And of course, intention to create legal relations. So once there's a binding legal contract, the testator may be held liable for breach of contract, where the testator then decides that not to make a will so that B may recover the property from the personal representative or claim damages out of his estate. So that's another terminology. When you write a will, the person who's going to be in charge of executing your instructions is called an executor or an executrix. If you die without a will, that person is called an administrator. Collectively, when a person dies, the person who executes, whether the person died with a will or without a will, is called collectively a personal representative. So where the testator makes a will but does not in fact leave the property to B as agreed, B is entitled to damages or to the property. Or where the testator makes a will, leaving the property to B, but then decides to revoke the will, B is entitled to damages in the event of such revocation. So when it comes to making a will, any and everybody cannot make a will. You must have capacity to make a will. So for a will to be valid, you have to be 18 or older. You must be of sound disposing mind. And sound disposing mind means that you must have testamentary capacity. And that means that you have to understand the nature of the act and its effects. You have to know your property that you're disposing of. And you have to be able to clearly articulate whether there are any claims that may take effect on your property. The second arm of having a sound disposing mind is intention. The testator must intend that his wishes will take effect on his death, otherwise it is invalid. That's the whole purpose of writing a will. You're writing something that you're saying will take effect upon my death. So if that is not the reason why you're writing a will, then the will is not valid. So let me ask you a question. Is there, to create a trust, is there any special form of words to create a trust?
I don't. Can you explain the question? What are you asking? The wording for a trust?
Yeah, I'm asking, is there any special words to create a trust? Because when you write a will, you can within the will, you can create a trust.
So I guess the trust is more specific, like to say, hold on, let me gather my thoughts.
Okay. Someone else can chime in.
The trust
unlike the will that takes effect when the person dies, the
Mhm.
trust can take effect while the person is alive, but
Mhm.
they will say when they want it to take effect.
Mhm. But you can actually write a will which takes effect upon death, and within the will, you can create a trust that will take effect upon your death.
Okay, so like if you're willing it to your child, the trust will take effect. Once
Yes, you can create.
person
Yeah,
passed.
you create.
Okay.
You create a trust, and for a trust to be valid, there are three things. One is intention. The words must be written in a way to say that it was the testator's intention to create a trust. The subject matter of the trust must be certain. So you can't say you're creating a trust. I'm creating a trust with my fixed deposit of $10,000 held in Commonwealth Bank, account number so-and-so, if that doesn't exist. So it has to be certain. And then the object of the trust, that is the beneficiaries. You have to be certain as to who they are. So for a trust to be valid, it must show the specific property. It has to reflect the settler's intent. And of course, it must be created for lawful purpose.
Question. So
Mhm.
if you put a trust in place within the will,
Uh-huh.
is the executor is still in charge of that, or do you have like a I don't know what the terminology is, a trustee, or I don't know.
Mhm.
Does
It
it
depends.
change?
It depends on how you structure it.
Okay.
Yeah. You could structure the trust within the trust with the instruction that a trust is to be established with a reputable trust company to facilitate, and then you lay it out. Because when you become an executor of a person's estate, some of the activities you carry out, you carry them out as a trustee. Not saying that you're carrying them out as a trustee of a trust, but in that role, you act as an executor and a trustee because you have a fiduciary duty in carrying out all of the duties that go with the distribution of the assets.
So tell me something. If I do all of this, why does still have to go through probate and all of that?
The probate is the legal side of it.
So
Because
that's
first thing,
okay.
so when you go through probate, right? The executor, he has to fill out the form saying these are the assets, these are the real property, and any personal property of value. He has to fill out a form. Then the court looks at the persons who claim that they are the beneficiaries, because you have to provide evidence that you are the beneficiary of the deceased. The executor has to make sure when he's preparing the forms, whether it's the executor himself or it's a lawyer, he has to make sure that on that form, it contains all of the assets of the deceased. Because so let's just say you wrote your will this year, but you died 40 years later and you never amended your will. You never even wrote a codicil. So there may be other assets to be added on the form when you apply the probate, and there may be assets that no longer exist. And you have to explain all of that to the probate registrar. So when you die and you applying for probate, at that point in time, that executor has that duty then to say, these are all the assets of the deceased. Now, bear in mind also When you see that ad that is in the paper saying that such and such a person has died with a little bit of notice, that's saying that if you have any claims against the estate of this person, you have to come forth if you wish to be paid. Because remember, all expenses are taken out before distributions are made.
Right. Yeah, I understand.
So for a will, if you're writing a will, there are certain formalities in the Wills Act. First, it has to be in writing. It has to be signed by the testator or some other person in his presence or her presence under his or her direction. It must appear that the testator by his signature intended to give effect to the will. The signature has to be acknowledged or made in the presence of 2 or more witnesses, and those 2 witnesses must be present at the same time. Each witness can sign or attest the will or acknowledge their signature in the presence of the testator, but they don't have to do that part together. They can do that separately. And of course, publication of the will is not necessary. So the will is valid if the signature of the testator is placed at, after, following, or under, or beside, or opposite the end of the will. Because that shows that the testator intended to give effect to everything that is written above his signature. The witness to the will must sign his name in his own handwriting, even if he has been assisted to do so. So even though the signature doesn't follow or is not immediately after the foot of the will, that doesn't make the will invalid. If there's a blank space between the concluding word of the will and the signature, that does not make the will invalid. And then I give you some other examples there. So where a testator is not domiciled in the Bahamas and they are disposing of property in the Bahamas, and it expressly declare in his will that the laws of the Bahamas shall be the governing law of the disposition of that asset, then such declaration is valid. And that is when you see applications will come to the Bahamas for resealing. Now, a will can be challenged. It can be challenged because they may say there was undue influence, which means that, let's just say the deceased had a son or daughter who lived with them or who always was with them, going to the bank or making decisions. And then when the person dies, they read the will and they notice that the majority of the assets was left to that individual. The other beneficiaries can take a matter to court to challenge the will, saying that that beneficiary or that family member influenced the deceased by having the dispositions made to them and not to others. Another challenge can be fraud. There could be instances where some of the beneficiaries say the signature on the will is not that of the deceased. Or they may say that they have seen other documents signed by this member of the family who was known to always forge the deceased signature. The will can also be challenged if the beneficiaries state that the deceased at the time that they wrote the will didn't have the capacity to sign the will, nor did they know what they were doing. So that's why whenever someone is writing a will and they are sick, you need to have a letter from a doctor stating that they are of sound mind and they know what they are doing. Otherwise, the will can be challenged. It can also be challenged for suspicious circumstances. When family members, again, say at the time the will was written, strange things were going on, and they can give examples of these events. And of course, another way it can be challenged is if there is a mistake in the will. Any comments? So if any person who attests,
I don't have a comment, but I do have a question
go ahead.
in regards to the last part. If someone is has a mental illness,
Mm-hmm.
they're still alive, they're not dead, and they conducted a transaction signing over an asset to a relative, would that transaction, can that transaction be challenged if there's no letter from a doctor certifying that that person is of sound mind?
Mm-hmm. Because that's one of the reasons for it being challenged.
Okay.
Yeah. Even let's say you have a relative, a parent, or a sibling who have the onset of Alzheimer's.
Right.
But there are times when you can sit down and have a nice, lovely conversation. Right.
Right.
And then sometimes you go, they don't know what in the world you're talking about. You
Mhm.
need to have a doctor to write a letter to say at the time the will was written, that person was of sound mind.
And if that letter wasn't presented, it can be challenged, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So any person who attests the execution of a will becomes at any time afterwards incompetent. The will is not invalid on that account, because at the time that they witness it, they were actually competent. Now, if a person who attests the execution of a will, or the spouse of that person receives a bequest under the will, the gift is void. The attending witness would still be competent, but they wouldn't be able to get the gift.
Okay, another follow-up question. So if that's the
Mhm.
case, and the person doesn't have a will, and they let's just say a doctor won't declare them to have sound mind, then what happens to that person's asset?
They'll say it again.
So if the person never set up a will
Mhm.
and they have, let's just say, Alzheimer's, so a doctor can't declare them having the capacity to create a will at this point,
Mhm.
what happens then with that
Oh,
person's asset?
no, okay, because you're going like little in and out. All right, so if you die without a will,
Right.
then instead of you following the Wills Act, remember the Wills Act gives you the formalities of how to write a will and how
Mm-hmm.
all the rules to go with distribution. So if you die without a will, then you follow the Inheritance Act. So that means that the law decides for you. Okay?
Okay.
So if you die and you leave your husband and you don't have no children, he takes everything that you own.
Mm.
If you die and you leave your husband and one child, is 50-50.
Okay.
And it keeps going down. If it's your child, if you have your husband is left and you had 3 children, he takes half and the other 50 is split between the 3 children.
Mm.
You want me to continue?
No. That's good.
So what if he is not married and he has 3 kids? Will that be, is inheritance be distributed between the 3 kids?
Yes,
Either.
between the 3 children.
What if the special person lived with them for a number of years, but they aren't married?
But you just finished saying that they're not married.
Okay.
She's eluding the common law. The common law.
Yeah, right.
We don't have common law.
Okay.
That's why you should get married.
I go on mute.
Why? Why? Why are you running away? Now, if you're not married, right? And you don't have no children, it goes to your grandchildren. If you don't have no husband, no wife, no children, no grandchildren, it goes to your mother and your father. And if you don't, go ahead.
What if it was in his mother's name or
No,
sister's name?
no, go up. Okay. No, your voice was too low. Say it again.
I said, what if he had the assets in one of his relatives' name, like his mom or his sister, but he has kids and they weren't in his kid's name?
And he didn't leave a will?
No.
But it's not his asset if it's in their name.
So it will be the person whose name it's in asset.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Unless, of course, he wrote a secret will. I mean, he created a secret trust with instructions.
A trust. Okay.
Yeah. He could have a secret trust where he tells the person whose name he's put it in that this is for my son who is 10 years old now, and upon him attaining the age of 18 or 21, I want you to then transfer it to that person. He could do that.
Okay.
This will thing so tricky.
Why is it tricky? I don't like that word tricky.
No. So, not the will aspect, just the death aspect. I mean, so because my thing is I didn't feel the need to write a will because I have one.
Katura, you went down. Or you went mute. Which one?
I need to change that because then
Hold on,
that means now.
You went down. Say it again.
Okay, so I basically have everything in my son and my mom's name. Now she getting up in age. That means now I need because then if something was to happen, her portion would go to her estate, which is my sisters and brothers' estate.
Yep.
I gotta take off. They ain't going off for me.
Has she written a will?
No.
Okay, you see, so then she would fall under the Inheritance Act. So does she have, is your daddy still living?
No, he's deceased.
Okay. So it was split between her children then.
Right. So my portion.
You're going down again. Katura.
Hello?
Yes, what happened to her? I can't hear her.
And I think we may be having internet issues because I got cut out earlier. But in that case, what she's trying to say with her mom and her son,
Mm-hmm.
why wouldn't the assets just all be turned over to her son in that case?
No, she wrote a will and she said she left half to her son and half to her mother.
Right?
Right.
And her mother passes away.
If her mother passes away,
Uh-huh.
unless she's gonna write another will, if she was to pass, don't forget now, will takes effect upon death. So if she was to pass, right? Her will says half goes to her son and half goes to her mother. She says her mother hasn't written a will.
Right.
So that means that when her mother passed after that, it goes to her brothers and sisters.
Okay.
Right. And so she's realizing now that her mommy's going down in age, but she really needs, she needs to look and see if she was to pass, who is she leaving it to? Is she leaving it all to her son? And then she'll have to appoint someone as his guardian if he's under 18.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is all tricks and interest again.
No, it is not. So a will can be revoked by a testator's marriage, except in certain circumstances. So that means that if you have an existing will and you get married, that will is revoked. You have to write a new one, except in certain circumstances. One is where it appears from the will itself that at the time it was made, the testator was expecting to be married to a particular person and that he intended that the will should not be revoked by the marriage. So that means that, let's say you're getting married in December and you write a will now and you were to pass. What they're saying is that when they read the will reflects the person that they were going to get married to. So it means that they intended for that will not to be revoked by the marriage. Where it appears from a will that at the time it was made, the testator was expecting to be married to a particular person and that he intended that the disposition in the will should not be revoked by the marriage to that person. Or that the disposition shall take effect notwithstanding the marriage. And any other disposition in the will shall take effect also, unless it appears from the will that the testator intended that the disposition to be revoked by the marriage. So once you have a will and you get married, that will is revoked.
Good, Miss Archer.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me where you're reading from, please?
Slide 23.
Okay.
Page 12.
Miss Archer,
Mm-hmm.
what if hold on, what's the document called? Prenup is involved.
And the prenup says what?
I thought prenup means whatever we enter into the marriage with is what we leave with. So with the will, why does it need to be revoked once they get married?
No, that's by law.
Oh,
The only way it not be revoked if when you read the will itself, it tells you the state of mind of when the person was writing the will, that they did not intend for the will to be revoked upon the marriage. It depends on how it is worded. But by law, once you get married, the will is revoked.
That's Bahamian law. That's everywhere.
That is Bahamian law.
Okay.
I have a question. So
Mhm.
if I make a will before I get married, I leave my assets to my children. And so if I do not want my will to be revoked upon my marriage, I would have to state in that document that I'd have to say, I don't want it to be revoked when I get married. You have to explicitly say,
Oh, you can't say that. No,
cannot.
no. They look at the disposition, who you intended to leave your assets to. And the way it is worded is whether or not from reading it, it's intended that you was expecting to be married to a particular person and you intended a disposition in the will should not be revoked by the marriage to that person.
So it depends on how the will is worded, then they would know that you have no intention of giving anything to the husband to be, or the husband.
Or you intended to give to the husband. One of the two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all that.
Ms. Arch, I have a question.
Mhm.
Is prenuptial agreements honored here in the Bahamas?
There was one foreign case where it was argued and where it stood up. The actual arguments, you can't read it because they don't have it on the government's website. But there has been a case where the prenup stood up in court.
Okay.
Why, you want to write a prenup?
I think it's too late for that. I have another question. I just want to jog my memory right now.
So you want to write a prenup will now?
Oh, prenup will.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work?
You do write it before you get married.
Yeah, prenup. Yeah, as I say, I think that ship was passed. I have a question. Let's just say I got married and I don't have any assets to date. However, my parents, they pass along and they inherited me, let's just say, a big house. I'm married now. Does my husband have any equity in that?
It depends on what he does to assist you.
I mean, like my parents give me this, so they really, he hasn't done anything to assist me because they willed that to me. That was in their will that I get this big house.
Mm-hmm.
In the event me and my husband decide to divorce or split, does he have any stakes in that?
That's what I'm saying now. It depends on what he has done to assist you with that house. So let's just say after you got it from your parents, you decided that you want to put in some hurricane impact windows because you fear that this is a very busy hurricane season and you need him to assist you. So he's already started to invest in the property.
And so at that point, he'll be entitled to half?
No.
Okay.
If he can produce his receipts, he can claim that I put $8,000 towards the house or $5,000 towards the house.
Okay. So what if it is a situation
Where
whereas he doesn't done anything at all, and I just get this house just sitting down? Does he have any dibs on that or any stakes in that?
No, you shouldn't.
Okay.
Just don't make it your marital home.
I'm about to say that now. That's what I was trying to say that just now. If you
Right.
decide to make that your marital home, yes, he will be entitled to 50%.
At what point though, like how do they quantify when he reaches that threshold?
Oh, no, marriage is
When
marriage.
married and moving to the first home.
Ooh, if you're living together?
Yes, marriage. That's what marriage means. Marriage.
Well, I can stay written then.
Marriage.
What if they never move into the house? Like, what if they're using it as rental property or something?
That's good. That's a question. Yeah, that's a good question.
What do you mean they are using it? Then you're still using it as an asset as a married couple. So what do you do with the rental? Are you taking that and using to buy your married home, buying groceries or whatever, paying something? Then it becomes a part of.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I will. I don't know. I just feeling devious right now. Question. So let's just say I was
You'll
to.
keep trying to hoodwink the man. No.
Let's just say I built a company and I put that in my company's name. It's my own, but it's in a company's name. Will he have any stakes? And that thing is that it's not my personal asset, and my personal and business is viewed as two different entities.
Like a shell company?
Yes.
I read about a case within the newspaper about a man who did that.
And what happened?
They proved, I think they were able, the wife's lawyers were able to prove that it was his intention by moving the assets into his name. He's trying to avoid leaving it to the wife.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And then he has to pay.
Yeah.
And in some instances,
who has to pay? Sorry.
Well, if that's what you intend to do, you will have to pay.
I'll still have to pay him out?
Yes, and if you have more than one,
and was to not to do that and to avoid having to pay your husband.
Yeah,
that's what I think. I think they could do that as a living trust, eh?
What you mean as a living trust?
I mean, boy,
if your whole intent on forming the company was to deprive him, no, the court will not allow you to do that.
Interesting.
The good thing about this conversation, I don't think Ernst in class tonight, but tell us how can we or what can we do so that the husband wouldn't be entitled to some of our assets.
Don't get married. That's what she said. Don't get married.
That was my next question.
Don't get married. End of story.
Because that's a very good question.
Because I feel, right, Massacha, I personally feel if I don't have any assets and me and my husband, we just get married, my parents, God please don't let this happen, but my parents pass away and leave this big household, let's just say life a key for me, right, as their only child or whatever. I don't feel my husband entitled to that because he don't have no equity in that.
Yeah, but don't forget, now you are married, and when that happens, then you are in lieu. You two will put your little Georgie bundle and drive down the life a key.
Oh, no.
It becomes your matrimonial home.
Even if I haven't moved in that this year?
No, if you haven't moved in it, that's different. But I'm saying once you move into it, it becomes your marital home. If you decide you're not moving in it, but there are things that need to be done and you're getting his assistance, you're going to have to pay. Everything depends when you divorce on that relationship and what you all agreed to.
Okay, so what if she get the home and then she sell it? She don't have to give him any of the proceeds, right?
No.
Oh, okay, that's what I can do. All right.
And I'm guessing put that proceeds in account with just your name on it, not a joint account.
Of course.
Why would you put it in a joint account?
So I still
Okay, what? Go ahead.
Okay. say I have an asset before I get married, before I have kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say I get married,
Mm-hmm.
and me and my husband, will I tell him that I would like what I would have gotten to be left to, if I were to have a child, I would want it to be left to that child. So, and if I make a will before I don't have a child yet. Okay. If I make a will, do I have to include my husband once I'm married? Do I have to include him?
No, but he can challenge it.
What if we have that discussion before the will is made and it's agreed?
Once you're dead, he doesn't have to say you all made an agreement.
Okay.
Dead man can't talk.
Oh,
Exactly.
so, besides on the same note, right, I would like to put the question a bit.
How do
So
I
let's just say
protect my asset?
I was married and my parents left me like a house or whatever, some cash in the bank. But God forbid I passed, right? Will my husband be entitled to that?
Mm-hmm.
He'll be entitled to that once the will is executed, right?
No, you say you passed. You didn't say you passed with a will. If you pass without a will, he will get it.
To the inheritance act.
Yes.
But even if she passes with a will and does not leave any of that to him, he can challenge it, is what you're saying.
Yeah, because he can come to the court and say there are certain conversations they had, there's certain things that he did towards it. And that's why you will always, when these things happen, when you get these gifts and disposition, you need to sit down with a lawyer and write a proper will.
This woman don't want to give their husband nothing.
Oh my God, I end up with nothing.
If I married a man, that says a lot. He get a little something. My Lord.
Anyway. Let me go on mute then.
I didn't thought this through.
Because he comes with other, like in the case where I think Couture, you were saying if you leave it to your mother and your son and you pass on, your mother gets it, then if she doesn't have a will, then your siblings get it. And you said you don't want them to benefit off of your, you know what I mean? So it's that type of way.
Right. No, because their husband, they need to take care of them. And
So it's
what they need to do. They get a piece of my things that I work for.
Yeah.
No, but if I decide to marry, we'll sit down and have clear conversations about whatever. And the thing is, as women, sometimes we expect to get what we have. If we have these commercial buildings, we think about that, we want a piece of that. So I don't mind if we get, once we have a mutual understanding, if the two of us have things, we'll decide what we want for what we want for the kids, what we want to do. We can combine everything. I don't mind.
Because that's what marriage is about, right?
That's what marriage about. What you marrying a man for if you holding back like that? I don't want nobody holding back with me.
I'm gonna give you nothing.
Oh Jesus, I gone. I'm muting.
I would give you nothing. If I go to work every day and I'm working dead hard and I got a better job than you, my career, going north. Why should I give you anything if I pass?
But then that's not a man.
I will something. Why should I go to you? Who've been skylacking all your life? I don't agree. So I definitely have to put some things in place so that was to happen to me.
No. See now, you're flying in the face of the sanctity of marriage.
I ain't giving you nothing.
No, you can't do that.
Marriage is unity.
Yes, the unity, you become one.
That's why the law have it fixed where they can take it.
Yeah, and when you be mean and he goes to the court and then the court say you're not being fair.
This is definitely a conversation now before you get married.
Definitely. This is powerful. This is eye-opening.
Then
But
let me
I know for sure. If even if you have a boyfriend and you have a house, don't let him leave them socks or nothing there. Don't let him be able to don't let him be
I
able
ain't
to
even
post
moving there. I
at
think
his
it's a regular little small apartment. I ain't even moving
Uh-huh.
you
I
know,
ain't
you
even
Because that
cut
man
the
now
grass.
that he have possession. He might not have ownership, but he have possession. You
now
don't
don't
want to do you
But
want to
then,
do
but
certain
then you gotta be fair too. But if the situation is reversed and you're dating a guy and he has his own place and you live in there, you won't think you're supposed to have titles to that as well.
No, because you say dating. I don't have no titles to anything.
Now,
But the tourist said only let him leave no socks there. So so you shouldn't leave nothing there in his house if vice versa. I'm just saying.
now don't forget now. Even your what they call them, your conjugal visits and all count towards contribution.
say what now?
Yeah.
But isn't common? Hold on. I thought we don't have common law marriage.
I thought
No,
so too. I was about to say.
in sex counts towards my contribution.
Hold on now. I hold on. I view that as one. I view that as one thing was actually because if you're not married and then you're coming over, boyfriend and girlfriend, I consider that as well as an investment. But I thought common
That's
law
not
marriage is not honored here.
common
So
law
how
marriage.
conjugal visits?
Common law marriage is not not here. But the point is that if two persons decide that they're going to move into apartment together, right? They agree between themselves that I pay 60%, 40% of the rent. We made an agreement. Then you're more or less entering into something similar to a contract. So when you don't live up to your obligations, I will take you to court and I will sue you. But when it is,
in the Bahamas?
yes, you can do that.
Oh, it's powerful.
But when you are in a marriage, I'm saying, let's say your husband is not working and he is home, right? He cleans up, nails the door, clean the windows, he mows the lawn sometime. Whenever you in the mood for sex, he gives you sex. When it is time to split up, he's going to tell the court everything that he did towards that marriage. And all of those actions carry a certain weight.
What?
Yes.
So what if he does all those things? What if he lawn the yard and the judge say, okay, well that's worth 1,000. Buy the groceries, okay, that's worth another 1,000.
Not 1,000. We talking percentage.
Clean out, worth another 1,000.
Not
You saying,
1,000.
okay, that's fine. When it comes down to intimate time, the judge says that's worth 3,000. How can I refute that?
You can't. How you refuting it if that's what the man did? You're gonna have to be able to say he didn't do these things. And when he gives evidence versus you give evidence, is which one is more credible? Because he'll give his evidence and you'll give your evidence.
Oh wow. So even if he paint the house and the house ain't paid properly, it's a matter of fact that he
Yeah,
painted it.
you should have taken pictures and made notes.
Oh
Open
wow.
CYA file, ma'am.
So how does that pertain to sex?
What you mean? That's a
You can
part of the
record it.
marriage and a part of your duty. And
Write
if
it
I'm
down.
if I'm giving it to you whenever you need it and all the time, all of that counts towards it.
So what if it ain't good? How I gonna refute that?
Did you ever say that? Didn't you take it all the time?
Hey, and why did you stay?
Exactly.
Oh, this gonna be long today. This gonna be long.
These are the things that you need to think about when you decide to do these things. And you could see, you notice, when you read these movie stars and stuff, you see how they get in and out of marriage very quickly. pay the and go.
That's true.
Because there's a lot of things you have to think about.
So can a person write a prenup in a wedding? I mean, I wouldn't call a prenup at that point because it wouldn't be pre. Can they write a post-nuptial inside a marriage, and would it be honored here in the Bahamas?
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm. But you know, based on our constitution, we're a Christian nation. So we live on the principle of becoming one.
This is very informative.
But these are things that you have to think about as a female, because trust me, the male think about it. So, I'll see if I could find that case for you all with the pastor who didn't want to give his wife anything, his second wife.
Miss Archer, question.
Is this the same with he had the business, the company?
Yes.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Body shop or some kind of car business or something.
Yeah, she was doing he put the business in the company name. I think it was all of the children were the shareholders. She was not a part of the company at all. But she was the mind behind the company in terms of bringing it up off the ground and have it generate business. She did all of that for the company. And he didn't want to give her anything. He even took back the wedding ring and all. And he was putting her out of the house. And the court said he can't do that, not at her age.
So, Miss Archer, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
As it pertains to divorce, is it, I understand you have to pay to get your maiden name back, is that correct? Or maybe I'm not asking the right question. But if you divorce and you took on your marriage surname and you want to revert back to your maiden name, is it true that you have to basically go to court and pay for that?
Never heard of that. All you do is change your documents.
Really?
I don't know, but go into court. Why you have to go to court to change your name?
I mean, I had a close friend who had to pay either $125 or $150.
To who?
I think she had to pay it in court or something like that to get back her maiden name.
Yeah, I have a coworker who that happened to.
Yeah. She had to pay to get back her maiden name.
Because I know my cousin did it, but I don't remember her telling me that she had to pay.
Yeah, I think it's $250.
Wow.
I think it's $250 now because she just recently got divorced. I think it's $250 she had to pay to get back her maiden name, but she had to get it after she got the divorce decree.
That's probably just a name change. So probably have to file a petition for name change.
And that has something to do with what, getting a deed poll or something?
Most likely. Because you'll have to present that to the passport office. But I mean, when you get married, you don't have to change your name, you know. A lot of people don't.
Which is true. I actually tried that to bring that in conversation to my husband before we get married, but then he was like, well, who are you gonna marry and keep your name?
Yeah. They are, yeah. They are like
so what I did to satisfy myself and him, I just hyphenated.
Some hyphenated also.
Well, my priest and counseling made us, that was like not up for discussion. That was, you're married, you're no longer whatever, you take on your husband's title. So it wasn't a hyphenated, or I mean, I guess they can't make you do it, but I know in the Anglican faith, that like you have to, or they encourage you to take on your spouse's surname.
Oh, see, I with that religion, so.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, you're so right, because I recently got married and I didn't want to change my name neither. So I just started hyphenating it, but it's not hyphenated in none of my documents, only certain things I put dash, whatever, just to make them feel good.
Oh,
But I changed my legal name.
you.
Yeah, I hyphenated it in all of my documents. I hyphenated. Because I
What
tell
if-
them I had my own identity before that. I had documents in my maiden name before that. So
Exactly.
yeah, I kept part of that.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay, I see in other jurisdiction, they say it's easiest way to get your name back is to do it during the divorce.
Wow.
And ask for the judge to do it on the when he does the decree, that to give you back your maiden name. Otherwise, you have to petition for a change of name
Wow.
and then schedule a hearing.
A herring?
That's in Florida.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Trying to see. 'Cause I've never heard anyone saying that they had to pay to change their name. But most people I know don't change their name; they just keep it.
Not today.
Oh Lord, why?
Not with these Bahamian men.
Exactly. Because they don't want to keep nothing to really a name to remind them of them that close or something like that. I don't know. We had person, well, I came across in my line of work where some persons would have just gotten divorced and in no minute time they in one change all their documents from that name.
Yeah, but that's a lot of work.
It is.
That's a lot of work. I don't know to want to go through that because there's so many documents.
But if you're not married anymore, why keep it?
Because all your documents have already been changed into that name.
But when you get married, you go and change all your documents into the marriage name.
No,
So,
no, you don't change it. You change it from at that point in time. So let's say all your high school and all your college, if you were single, they stay in that name.
right. So if you get divorced, I mean, why wouldn't you want to go back and change it back? If all your high school documents and other stuff prior to the marriage, you have
Okay.
in your maiden name.
Okay. So all your high school documents or college documents you got prior to the marriage, they're
Right.
not changed into your marriage name.
Right. So
Anything that happens after the marriage is in the marriage name. So if you,
Correct.
after you've been married and then you decide you want to go back to your maiden name,
Mhm.
then you change those ones that were changed during the marriage to your maiden name.
Right. That's what I'm, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Y'all deep. Y'all want change name, don't give the money. I don't understand this. It's a rough group.
So are you married, Miss Archer?
I want to
Yeah.
Ernst. Ernst, how do you feel about this, man?
Y'all are too rough for me.
Yeah, I could hear your tone of voice. You don't like our stance on this.
No. No, when you all started, but you all were too excited. I was supposed to tell you all every time I teach this same segment right here, I get the same responses. So it's not new to me. I get the same thing. So I have some women saying, oh, no. I got to make some changes. No. That ain't happening. So no, I'm used to hearing this. But it's good. It's good that you know, so you can make decisions.
Miss Archer,
Mhm.
You might have already answered this question, but I wanted to know. So you're saying if, let's say, you're married and your your husband or spouse has outside children before before the marriage, before your union or whatever, right? And they
Mhm.
pass before you, and they don't have a will. What will the outside children have any rights to what is owned, or I should say, I guess, yeah, whatever assets owned in the marriage? Do they have any rights to that?
Okay,
If
so
there's
we
a will?
didn't discuss that before. So
Oh,
under the Status of Children Act, all of his children, whether they were before, whether they were within, they're all his children. So any child that he had, let's say he had a child with one woman or two women, you didn't know anything about them,
mhm.
but he used to visit them and give them money for school, uniform and school trips and things like that. And the lady is now saying that, or the two women are now saying that they are his children. They can go to the court and go through the steps to have him declared that he is the father of those children. They will also be entitled, along with your children and any other children who you know are his children, all.
So when you saying they would be, that means they would be entitled to the house as well? House, whatever he owns, like any kind of asset
And
he owns,
all of his assets.
assets that are shared with his wife,
What you mean shared with his wife?
like they
The
own them
marital home?
together, their marital home,
Together. A model home.
But normally they allow you to stay in the marital home.
So like this would apply to the outside children as well?
That's
There
right.
are no outside children.
All
They
children.
the man children.
You know,
All
out there.
children are equal.
Yeah, there's no such thing as outside.
But he
Yeah,
didn't have,
all are equal.
he didn't have those assets when he have those kids. So why? I mean, I'm not saying to not say give anything, but I'm just trying, like, especially let's say the marital home is all of the children would have some type of share in that.
Yes,
Seriously?
Really?
yes, they're all his
Yeah,
children.
yeah.
Okay, Miss Archer, I have a question.
We need to start writing a will.
He has a home. He has kids. I have a home. I don't have kids. We get married. We get a separate place. We get a totally separate marital home. And let's just say we have kids together.
Mhm.
You mean to tell me I cannot write a will that primarily gives the benefit of the house that I got before we were married to my child? Where
Yes.
he wants to leave the house he had before me to his children.
Then you all can sit down and write mutual wills.
Mutual wills.
Mhm.
Okay.
Let me tell you something. No real man gonna want that house. Would he know? He had no. Let's just be more careful of who we marry. There's no real man gonna want that house. If he know he have no vested interest in that house, no real man will do that.
Some of these men today, Kaduro, they want everything with the woman have. They ain't care for
Yeah,
that.
but we are now educated and hip to these days. And guess what? Don't mind woman, we see these signs from a long time. I don't feel sorry for the ones who see the signs and still go ahead. But for us,
Yeah, yeah,
Yours-
I feel the same way.
y'all heed the signs. Y'all look at the signs. That man was a nigga before y'all got married. And all of a sudden, when you get married, you expect a man to change. Ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, and if you have some of these conversations after you get married, then you might end up with divorce.
Yeah, have it before. These ain't
Yeah.
conversations you're supposed to be having after no marriage. It's done too late.
Yeah.
Have it before. You look at a certain line of questions from you dating, from my dating you. And I hear certain names, I gone.
Need to have it tonight. I don't know now.
Yeah, I gone. First week, I gone. I gone. I gone. Because you could see where some things headed. If you're already asking, oh, you got a house? I had one say, you got a house? All right, gone. That mean you think you looking for something. I know. No. We just see the he decides. We'll be all right.
He
But
might want
if
to
I marry
decide
that
if he can
man,
live with you or you can live with him though.
no, if I marry that man, I feel like I should be entitled to some things as I feel like in our marriage I should benefit from his assets. And as
Exactly.
well, and the same thing is if I expect that from him, then I gotta expect to do something. Come on. But it's very common for us women to don't want to do nothing but we expect a man to do for us.
Well,
That
that's
time. And from you enter that union, your mindset should change. You know,
Yeah, I
I
think
know
I think
changes happen.
we make better progress when we work together, to
Yeah.
be honest with you.
For you also of your hand out. We just talk about that. You have something for me? Oh, I still mute. Sorry.
It's Pierre in class today. I really want to hear Mark's point of view.
No, he isn't.
You must know what he's talking today.
Yeah, Ernst isn't here. You would have me call for Ernst? This is very interesting to hear Ernst. Poor Ernst. The one man.
oh, he's not in today.
Interesting though. This is interesting.
Yeah, but don't forget now, when you get married and if you didn't take this class, you wouldn't be thinking like this at all.
No.
Not necessarily,
I
because
was
I
thinking,
I thought about all
wait
these
for this
things too.
class today to ask these questions.
Yeah, from I got my house, I sat down with my lawyer and I asked her certain questions. That's how I learned about ownership and possession. She explained to me that my son would have ownership of the property, but he can't put out my husband once I make it my marital home.
No, you
And
can't put him out.
that
No, he could put out your
he is there until death.
yeah, but he could put out your son though.
And that's what I learned. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's crazy. So I was asked the questions a long time. I tell you, I don't let you leave nothing.
I know
Mhm.
this lady, Miss Archer, she met this man. They've been married 12 years. He was married before, and I think his first wife passed away. They had kids. Him and his now wife, well, he just passed away, but his second wife and him doesn't have kids. She has a daughter, and they were living in a home. Apparently, this was the first wife's home, but
Mhm.
I guess their marital home. And she passed away. He remarried. Remarried this lady and made it their marital home. And now that he's passed, hit the kids from his first marriage, they've been harassing this lady and trying to get her out the house. And they've been married 12 years. I told her she needed to get a lawyer. She had to actually call police involved because they kept coming on the property, harassing her and threatening her and stuff like that. They actually have keys to the house. They coming in the house.
Mm.
Yeah. And she's a foreigner. She isn't a Bahamian. So
Oh,
what kind of, I mean, she would still have rights in that house, correct?
yeah, because it's the marital home. But let's start with the first husband. So when the first husband
The
was
first
living
wife.
with his wife, it was their marital home.
Right.
So when
Mm-hmm.
she died with a will or without a will.
Oh, I don't
Because
know.
you have to start from the beginning.
Mm, okay. I don't know. Well, the thing about it is what she told me, the kids didn't have any interest in the house before when the husband was living. And only right after he died, they've been coming around because they're adult kids coming around and harassing her. They
Their
knew
mother,
about her, they knew they were together, they got married, they dated way after the first wife had passed. So it wasn't like she was a sweetheart in the first marriage.
no, but don't forget now, the first wife and the father lived in the house as husband and wife as a matrimonial home. So they're looking at where is their mother's interest in the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what they're looking for.
So
Boy,
you
everything changes when you die too.
And now that he is dead, you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for her interest.
So if he left a will and he willed the house and whatever other assets he have to his second wife solely, then they have no rights to the house, correct?
No, first you gotta probate the mother.
The mother.
Oh, wow.
You have to probate the mother's estate because she left the husband and children.
Oh, yeah, correct.
So in the case, if there's no will, it'll be the Inheritance Act where he gets half and the children split the other half of it.
Yeah.
That's what they're looking for, that
Okay.
initial half, what they would have gotten from her.
Wow. Boy.
Terrible.
And that's why a lot of people, when you're marrying someone who had children before, and he's putting you in the marital home that he had before, that's why you see a lot of women normally say, I want a new house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's food for thought.
Yeah.
Because that's the first time I've heard the same story just like that. And the children come in and they take over and they're not moving.
Right. Yep.
Hi, ladies. Sorry to interject. This has been a real conversation. How long is the class today, Miss Asha? Yeah. How long is the class?
Let's move along.
We can
No,
continue.
I'm at work. I'm at work, so I have to leave early today. But
No.
I'm just trying to figure out if I'll have time to sign back in.
No, what I'm saying is we could continue next week because we're almost finished. Because after this, we were going to do pension planning and requirements. And normally for the pension section, you have to get all these brochures from NIB. I'll only talk about pension and retirement and what you need to do. It's a conversation again, just like this one. So we can start because you could read the slides, and when we come next week, we'll just wrap it up. Because it's not much after this.
Miss Archer,
Miss, I have a question. I don't know if you're
Okay.
able to provide clarity on the word assignment we had to do. I don't know if you can, or Miguel can provide some clarity on that.
Okay, I don't know if let me see if he's on. Let me see.
If this module 5 or 6, because I am
What we're on now?
I haven't gotten the PowerPoint. I haven't gotten any of the slides. I don't know where we're reading from.
Oh, how come?
6.
I don't know.
You don't have any of the slides?
The hard
I'm
copy in the
stuck
office. I
at-
don't know if he emailed it.
Oh, so this the other part that we're supposed to pick up from the office?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta pick up mine then. Okay.
Oh, okay. In the meantime, can someone send me it then?
I'd have to check, see if he would have emailed it. I know I went and picked up the hard copy, so I never really took note if he sent it via email.
Oh, wow.
I'll check right now. So.
I don't think he sent it. I didn't see it because I had to find last week.
Oh, man.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Anybody
Okay.
started the word assignment as yet?
Hold on, I just sent him a message, tell him, ask him if he could come
You
on.
mean the one that's due tomorrow?
No, that's
Yeah.
due next week.
No,
Due next
tomorrow.
week. That's due next week, the 10th.
The 10th.
I thought I saw the 3rd.
I saw the
Hey.
third.
The
Third on the
The revised schedule he sent, it changed to 10th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at-
I still want a little bit more clarity on it.
Okay, hold on. I sent a message. Let me see if he answers.
Okay.
Trying to get him. Come on. I'm gonna come off and come back on. Let me call him.
Okay.
Okay.
Sandy, you said she needed clarity on it.
Yeah.
You wasn't there when we when Mr. Donathan tried to explain it. Eh?
No, I missed I think about 1 or 2 sessions with him.
Oh,
If you don't mind, you could explain it to me, please.
Well, I mean, how I first looked at it when I read it, I was looking at it like it was directed towards persons who work in a bank or a financial institute. But then after he explained it, you can actually look at it from a customer standpoint, like you as a customer at the bank or a financial institute. And I guess whether you agree to what media comments and stuff suggests about them, like businesses and like banks and stuff, they more interested in making profit rather than building relationships, customer relationships, or you disagree with that, or you agree, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I'm explaining it right.
Yeah, that's what
I
he
gather
said.
that's what he tried
Yeah,
to
that's what I gathered too.
Yeah.
And then they said to try and insert like
Citation.
charts or
Yeah, for points.
points and stuff. So, and then you also have to do your reference page, and they didn't specify. Didn't anyone know if they specified which format we using for the reference? Like,
He didn't.
wow.
But it said would not be included in the above words.
So where are we returning? We have the CADIS assignment to the office, or we send it via email?
I messaged Mr. Pratt today, but he didn't respond because I thought it was due tomorrow. So
Yeah,
I
I
was asking him if
the
he
email last week as well.
email it to him or who.
But what he said he didn't reply.
He didn't
No,
respond.
he didn't answer.
So we're due next week?
Yeah, next week.
On the 10th.
Oh, God, okay. I can sleep.
Tomorrow.
I thought it was due tomorrow too.
And you got a long
That's what I
holiday.
saw the third. I remember the revised one.
Yeah. That's why I'm trying to figure out, are we in module 6 or 5? Because
I think we're in module 5, right?
No,
because
we're
we're in 6.
Yes.
module 5 was only supposed to be for one class. We went through the entire thing just because it was
Last week.
yeah.
I thought we were supposed to skip a class this week too, so we're gonna finish up, I guess, a week
A week
earlier.
earlier. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
So
awesome.
this module I picked up does not have module 5, and I only got 6 that I got from the office.
Yes, module 6 that we had to pick up, I think.
Yeah, module 6, and it's really thick.
Yeah.
Yes.
So where do we get the information that we went through last week?
That's module 5.
Get it from Mr. Pratt, because when I got the hard copy, it was supposed to be 1 through 5, but I only got 1 through 3. So I noticed from we were going on section 4 that I didn't have those. So that's when I went into office and got it. And he gave me, at that time, 6 was ready as well.
Okay.
You said module 5.
When he may have sent 5 via email, maybe.
I think so.
I think he did 5. I don't think he did 6, but he would have sent 1 through 5 as a PDF to our email.
So you saying the book doesn't have everything he sent via email?
No, the book I had, I think when they were compiling it, the book that he gave me, it missed. Yes, so that's why yours may have been missed. They didn't put in 5.
Okay, I better still check my email. So anyone know about the exam? If this is an in-class exam, or are we doing this online?
I need
It's an online exam.
Oh, it's online.
Okay.
Yeah.
You all have to tell me the questions, because there are other classes on and he can't speak. So what are the questions so I can ask him and then come back?
Yeah, Ms. Archer, I just want clarity on how to approach it. That's all. I just want to make sure I'm on the right track.
And who do we send it to? Do we send it to him or?
Okay, clarity on how to, when you say how to approach it, what do you mean?
Okay, so I see the question itself is, it sounds like it's more like a client relationship skills. Sound like it's a scenario built upon client relationship skill.
Mm-hmm.
But I am not quite sure, because it also mentioned that we can use excerpts from the book.
Okay. Okay. And then what's the next one?
Who did we submit the assignment to?
Who to send it to? Okay.
And what time is it due?
Yeah, that part.
Okay.
Because June 10, that's 24 hours.
What time? Okay, deadline for submission. What else?
And is it a hard copy or are we just sending it via email?
Okay, electronic. Hard copy. Okay. Any more? Word count? Does it give you a word count or?
Yeah.
Yeah,
2%
yeah,
plus
yes.
10%.
Say 10%?
It says plus or minus 10%,
Plus or minus 10.
Okay. Oh,
max
okay.
40 towards the final grade.
Okay. All right. So hold on. Let me ask him. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if this will help anyone, but how I approached it was I basically talked about issues arising from operation side and the credit side. So I talked about the issues customers have when it pertains to them getting loans and doing business on the loan side. And then I talked about the deposit area side too. So like how customers, a lot of customers complain about the bank fees. So I touched on that, and then I talked about, well, I work in the bank, so I kind of
Wow.
privy to it.
All I access that information.
Right. So I really, because even with the references, I really don't have references because I just went off what I do daily. So like a lot of customers, they complain about the wait time, the ease of, or the how it isn't easy to do banking in the Bahamas a lot, especially when it comes to like business accounts.
Yeah.
Right, I talked about that too. And then, customers, they complain about the interest rates for loans.
Yeah.
They feel like the interest rates too high. So like that's how I attempted to tackle it. So I don't know if that helps anyone.
Yeah, that's thanks.
Sorry, I was listening. Thank you. I was listening. Sorry.
Oh, you're welcome. The light off.
Danica, is that you on the 242 Love Show?
Yeah, that's me.
Oh. Oh.
Anybody here have any like young children?
I have a 4-year-old.
I need a parenting advice. Are you familiar with CalPol?
Yeah, I don't like cowball.
Oh.
I don't feel like cowball works. I found something, it's Paramore.
Uh-huh.
That works.
Okay.
Good.
All right then. So here you hear all. The deadline is 12 midnight.
Okay.
It's electronic, and you're to send it to Miguel.
Awesome.
Now, when it comes to your clarification, just hold on 1 second. He said there is no right nor wrong answer. It is a research paper. And he said Mr. Donathan should have explained this. Did he explain it to you all? He didn't?
I think when he did explain, I think someone in the class mentioned it, but when he did explain it, I was not there for that session. I think that's what happened.
Do you think you could listen to the recording?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I can't even get the recording.
Yeah, I can't find it on YouTube like
Yeah,
that.
you can't get it.
Either.
You know which class it was? Which one?
Anybody know which class it was?
I think it was the second class, the second,
I think that may have been the last class.
No, it was the
oh, it was
second.
the second. It was the second.
Yeah.
April 28th?
If that was the second, I think so. But it was the second class when he
With him, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I'll ask Miguel to send you the second class.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, hold on. Let me just see. He's supposed to have just the question. So hold on. Let me just see.
Shakira, what you saying about the CalPOL?
Yeah, I just was wondering, like, can you mix that with Tylenol?
No.
Not mix it, but like, can you administer them both?
No.
You shouldn't?
No, you're trying to drug the jelly.
You could interchange it if you give CalPOL now in the next 4 to 6 hours, you could give the Tylenol.
But don't give the two together.
No,
Yeah,
not-
not together. But
Okay.
after the recommended hours, you can.
Okay.
I surprised you still finding CalPOL because I can't find them.
Well, the thing is, my sister-in-law sent it from Harbor Island. Apparently, they have them in Harbor Island.
You better get it from Harbor Island then.
Oh.
Yeah.
But because I can't find it, I normally now just use the Tylenol.
Yeah, I don't find the Tylenol works like that though.
Try the if you could find a Paramol, try the Paramol. That worked for me, but for my daughter, it worked better than the Motrin and the CalPOL.
Oh wow, okay.
Okay, yeah. Which question? That's all this is.
What's that?
You probably can do interviews.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me tell you now you need that, but this is not, this is quite interesting. Have fun.
And it's you on the 10th, right? They just on the
He
10th.
said if you need an extension, let me know now so I could ask him.
Just confirm if it's due on the 10th, please.
It's
And
due on
not
the 10th.
tomorrow. Okay.
It's due on the 10th.
Well, I mean, an extension would be good.
Listen
That
now.
would be great.
Listen to the way
That's
you
great.
from to what? To the
Maybe
15th.
Monday or something.
to the 15th?
Yeah.
Would it be that Monday?
Okay, let me ask.
15th.
That's the 15th, right? That's the date I given him, the 15th.
Okay.
The Wednesday.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, let's see what he says. Okay, send that to him and also. Let me go to WhatsApp because I sending it to him and thing see what he says. I sent it 2 ways. So let's see if he answered. Let's see, inbox. I'm waiting now to see if he answers. It says online, so he reads my things.
Ms. Arch, I have a question.
Go ahead.
The notes for this module is kind of thick. Is the intent to touch on everything in this?
No.
Okay,
Mm-mm.
made me feel much better.
No.
Okay.
It's a lot of information because you
Right.
know all of their exams are multiple choice.
Right.
Yeah. So you can't just like do 10 slides. You won't be able to write multiple choice like that.
Mhm.
But there are no questions on the actual legislation itself. But there are questions based on the slides.
Okay.
Yeah. And then when we go down further, then you'll see. They like the section that we'll do after pension, the wealth management tool.
Mhm.
They like those ones on different structures.
You don't have
So
any
pay
case,
attention to those.
we don't have any case studies, Ms. Arthur? You know?
No. He said you could get an extension to the 15th.
Okay. So it's all multiple choice?
As far as I'm aware, I don't remember any short answer.
Yeah, he say all multiple choice.
Yeah. So the 15th is agreed. And I remind them to upload Ken's second class.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
And you said we submitted to him, right?
Yeah, to Miguel.
Okay.
Okay, so would you be able to tell us our focal points for the exam?
Now that depends. That depends if they're using the questions that I would have submitted, but I can on the last class. Remind me the class before that.
Okay.
Yeah. What I'll do is the focal points, I'll do it the opposite way. I'll tell you what you do not need to know.
Okay.
Opposite way.
Okay.
Because I know it is a lot.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what you don't need to know. The process of elimination. Remind me the class before the last, so I can get.
Okay. I'm making a note right now.
Okay. And he said, yes, he'll send.
Your phone, Caroli said, yes, we would.
He'll send a link for the class. Yeah,
Okay.
would you miss with Ken? He'll send that.
All right, perfect.
All right. So enjoy your holiday weekend and we will continue next week.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.